Hi everyone, this is Zheng Hui Peng from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. This is our CHI 2020 paper, exploring the effects of technological writing assistance for support providers in online mental health communities. Online mental health communities are popular for people who have mental issues to seek support online. For example, in the Reddit art depression community, people can create a help-seeking post, and others can leave comments under the post to support the support seekers. And the success of these communities largely rely on their informational support and emotional support. However, in reality, many comments are not of high quality, and these comments could distress support seekers and could reduce the sense of worthiness of the support providers. So we need to improve the quality of informational support and emotional support in the comments. And there are many ways. For example, we can do content moderation by human or AI moderators, but this method will lack feedback for the providers about what are they doing wrong. And the second way is to teach some techniques for the providers to write comments beforehand. This could be effective, but it needs a bit of efforts. And the third way is our focus in this paper on the flag adaptive writing assistance. There are many writing assistants in other domains, and they use different mechanisms. For example, assessment-based mechanism is the way you assess, for example, how many words in your writing and the quality of your writing. And the second way, recommendation mode based method is to recommend the high quality examples writing for you for reference, like the romantic lyrics for the couple to chat online. But it will have some difficulties to apply the writing assistance in the online mental health communities due to the frustration, authorship, or sincerity issues. And in our work, we focus on two research questions. The first one is how would the writing support system and its assisting mechanisms, for example, in our case, the Messbox and the assessment-based and recommendation-based method. How would this Messbox and its assisting mechanisms affect the provider's perception and behavior in the process of the writing comment? And also, how would they affect the outcome of the comments? And the second research question is how would the providers perceive these tools, and also what are their concerns? And we will first introduce our system and then describe our experiment, and then present our results, and finally come to the discussion. And first, we build two classifiers to classify the level of informational support and emotional support in the comment. We label it as low, medium, or high of the I's and E's. And we follow others' work to build classifiers, and also we identify the important features for predict informational support and emotional support. And we will use these features in our later design. The assessment mode Messbox, for others' work, we will report the predicted informational support and emotional support in the draft comment and suggest one way to improve. For example, if you write too little words, it will suggest you write down more words. And if your comments are not of high quality, and it can suggest you, for example, you can use some words that could make you more supportive. And the recommendation mode Messbox will suggest high quality example comments that are similar to yours from a recommendation mode pool. It inputs the draft comment, and it will first find similar words from similar examples from the recommendation pool, and then after some processing, it will rank the examples and suggest this example to you. And here's a demo of our community and also the Messbox. Here in the communities, there are the samples by others, also the comments under under the post. And also, the participant's task is to write comments to support the support seeker. And the assessment mode Matchbox will report the level of eyes and ears, and also you can you can back to edit to write out your comments until you're satisfied. Then you can click the continue to submit button. And here is the recommendation mode Matchbox. You click the preview and it will show up the examples that are similar to your comments. And you can click more to see more examples, and the words you can check the highlight words that may give you some insights to write comments. And here is the interface of these two types of Matchbox. The first one, both Matchbox will give a self-introduction about what it can do. The assessment mode Matchbox will report the level of informational support and emotional support in your comments and suggest a point to improve with some keywords. The recommendation mode Matchbox will recommend some high-quality example that is similar to yours, and also highlight some words that may be of your interest. And here's a little detail about the experiment. We have 30 participants. Each participant will finish 3 tasks, and we measure the confidence and satisfaction at both the pre-moment and the post-moment. Pre-moment is the moment right before you first click on the preview. The post-moment is the moment you click on continue to submit. So the difference between these 2 moments reflect that after you interacting with the Matchbox, how will you do, what will you feel? And we also measure the perception toward the Matchbox, and the previous post moment is the within subject design, and also between subject design is to compare the assessment mode Matchbox and recommendation mode Matchbox. And here are our results. We can see that both types of Matchbox can improve participants' confidence in the informational support and emotional support manifested in the comments and also their satisfaction. And we found that participants click more on the back to edit in the recommendation mode group, which means they re-edit their comments more in the recommendation mode group. So we can see that for assessment group, they directly submit the comment because they felt great with the high score given by the Matchbox. And for the recommendation mode group, they revised their comments because they felt that the Matchbox had good examples. And we found that both Matchbox can improve, especially the emotional support in the comments. And we will then look into the detail about what additions are made by the participants. And we can see that they revise the informational support related content, like add an advice in the comment or add more information in the comment. And we found that this kind of change happen more in the recommendation mode group, which means that maybe they check the recommendation, the examples given by the Matchbox, and they found that they can write it in another way or add more content. And also they will add some encouragement or add some understanding to show their emotional support. And this type of change also happen more in the recommendation group. And the third type of change they made is the expression. They will correct typo or polish sentence when they get feedback from the Matchbox. And it shows that the bot can make participants more reflective on the writing. About the perception towards Matchbox and concerns, we found that assessment mode Matchbox is easier to use, and participants have moderately worried about the potential risk and the privacy issue. We first look at the accuracy. The assessment mode Matchbox are perceived over 70% accuracy the recommendation mode matchbox are not accurate as participants perceive if 4 participants rate lower than 50% accuracy. And for the assessment mode matchbox, the clear mechanism behind the bot will cause a case of the low rating. And participants feel that the assessment mode matchbox may not reflect the subtle usage of the range, and the recommendation mode matchbox has provide potential misleading content and will be lack of sincerity and authorship if they are used in the community. About the privacy issue, some people worry about that the company behind the bot will leak out information if they are used in the market. And we derive some insights for writing assistance in the online mental health communities. First, the bot can offer assistance proactively during the commenting process. And the second one is it can address the assisting mechanisms based on the quality of comment. And the third one is it can customize quality metrics to the user's personal needs. For example, it can assess more dimensions of the comments like the relevance to the topics, the similarity to others, or the sentiment. And the fourth design consideration is increase the transparency of the technology, because people raise concerns about the backend mechanism, and the bot can generally remind its limitation. The limitation of our work is that we evaluate the bot in the RAP study. So future work need to explore the use of matchbox in the wild. And the second limitation is that we only evaluate the bot from the support provider's perspective. And future work can examine how the bot could affect support seekers. So here comes to our summary. Our work is motivated by the need of high-quality comments in online mental health communities. And we decide evaluate the matchbox, a writing assistant, in 2 modes. The assessment mode will report the levels of IS and ES, and it will suggest a point to improve. The recommendation mode is an indirect way. It will not report the levels of IS and ES, but it will suggest some related example comments for reference. And then we found that the matchbox can improve users' confidence in and satisfaction with their comments, and they will trigger positive re-edition behaviors on the comment. Finally, we report some on matchbox, and also we propose some design consideration. And thank you for your listening. I'm Zheng Hui Peng from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. For more details, you can refer to our paper. And if you want to use our code, you can also find the link in our paper. And you can know more about me from my personal website and contact me via my email. Thank you.